Hi, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Very exciting.
Woo!
I'm Stefanie Beach, your host. I am the founder and CEO of the Marketeer Group and the podcast host of the Digital Marketeer podcast. I would love for all of you to please find me and subscribe. Thank you very much. We have a very interesting panel today, and I'm going to introduce everybody as well as let them give a little synopsis on who they are and what they do. First, we have Joe Lige, who is the Chief Business Officer of Adte. Oops, sorry, I'm getting used to this phone thing.
It's a new invention.
Joe is the Chief Business Officer of Adte, where he leads strategy partnerships and revenue growth across connected TV, AI, and programmatic media. With more than 18 years of experience at companies including Experian, Oracle, and PubMatic, he scaled global ad tech businesses and forged partnerships with Amazon, Roku, and The Trade Desk. Joe is recognized for driving innovation at the intersection of AI, data, and media, helping brands connect with audiences in premium brand-safe environments while modernizing legacy ad tech. Welcome.
Thank you. I can drop the mic on that one.
And next we have Nola Solomon, who is the founder and CEO of Sage Quill. Nola is a 16-plus year global ad tech executive and entrepreneur, holding prior leadership roles at Criteo, NBC Universal, Daily Motion, and The Trade Desk. She's scaled platforms, partnerships, and go-to-market strategies across ad tech, commerce media, and CTV, and is now building her own startup and advising companies through her consultancy, Sage Quill. Welcome.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Kyle Dozeman is the Chief Revenue Officer of the Americas at PubMatic. He has worked in media and technology industries for over a decade, and as the Chief Revenue Officer at PubMatic, he leads partnership customer success organizations as well as advertiser sales, operations, and strategy in the region. Kyle joined PubMatic in 2013 and had held roles in sales, corporate strategy leadership. He's helped drive and support key initiatives, including developing the company's demand strategy, as well as international expansion efforts. Prior to PubMatic, he's held various product management and corporate strategy positions at Symantec, the global leadership of cybersecurity, and he began his career at KPMG in Ireland. Welcome.
Woo.
And last but not least, Jay.
Don't bother.
Okay. I was practicing, I'm not going to lie.
I'm practicing myself.
Okay.
Glogovsky.
Yes. So Jay Glogovsky?
It works for me.
Okay. Is a strategic commercial and analytics executive with over 15 years experience driving revenue growth, digital transformation, and operational excellence across leading media organizations. He's most recently launched and led the analytics function at Audacy, following 7 years at the New York Times as Vice President of Revenue, Operations, and Analytics. Today, Jay advises high-growth media companies, including The Motley Fool, Media Mint, and a number of stealth AI startups on advertising strategy, AI innovation, and revenue operations. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for being here. So today we're here to talk about the convergence of AI and innovation in programmatic technology and legacy. So first question I have for you guys, is really to do with context. And so how are AI innovations really reshaping the core functions of legacy programmatic technology? And, where are the biggest gaps that are still missing? Kyle, do you want to start?
Sure.
Working for a technology company, I figured why not?
Yeah, happy to. Okay, so I think I'm seeing AI innovations in sort of three buckets. The first, I think, is the one that is usually talked about on panels, which is automating internal use cases. And I think we're seeing real, not just adoption, but efficiency gains already in those arenas. At PubMatic specifically, we're seeing a lot of gains within engineering, specifically QC, quality control. We're also seeing it legal, ops, finance, et cetera. So that's happening. I think that's probably like the most well understood thing that we'll discuss today. So that's sort of bucket one. Bucket two is, I think, improving workflows that exist within the construct of how the industry has worked for a while. So the way that DSPs and SSPs talk to each other, the way that somebody works with an agency, the way that a publisher works with an SSP, data company, et cetera. So those workflows just being automated, made more efficient, improved, et cetera, with AI. I would say that there are a lot of tools out there that are starting to be adopted. So early innings, but that's happening quite quickly, and I think those gains will be material, but are sort of well understood. And then I think the third bucket is the pile of stuff where we will do tasks in fundamentally different ways. So this is sort of like the machine context protocol, like how do these systems talk differently? So like, does this whole OpenRTB thing that we've used for 15, 20 years, like, you know, by raise of hands, how many people feel like programmatic is just killing it? All right, there is one. Woo-hoo! All right, there were not a lot of hands raised for the listeners at home. But yeah, so I don't think it's likely that the thing that we came up with 20 years ago is going to be the same thing that we use for the next 100 years, especially when we have a technology as powerful as AI. So that's the stuff that I think is the most interesting and is really, really early. There's like subgroups happening. This is kind of one of them where this is being discussed. But I think it's going to move quick. I think an agentic campaign, a campaign where a brand tells an agent what they want to do and that agent goes and does that, a version of that I think is going to happen within the next 6 months. So those are maybe like the three buckets.
And anything that you think's lacking?
Anything what?
Anything lacking?
Oh, anything. I don't know if this would be lacking, but I would say like, I think we're already seeing significant signs of innovator's dilemma. Like there are companies that are entrenched that have benefits based off the way the thing's currently working. And I think those companies' grips are starting to be felt and sort of trying to say, hey, let's maybe keep things the way that they were. So I don't know if that's a version of not working, but I think we're going to face that tension at an increasing rate over the next couple of quarters.
Anybody want to add anything?
Yeah, I want to go back a little bit further to the biz dev side of things and how I see things changing. I call it like a creeping AI situation, where we're sending emails, sales emails, and how many people have Google and Gemini, and there's no excuse with everything available in AI to send a bad email. Like, it's you write it and then you hit a button and it makes it better. So I think that in its way, before you even get to the tech side, like we see AI creeping into every facet of our life, and then we find ways in adtech to make it more efficient for us. But ultimately, when you think about it, it's really going to move, I think, in the testing phase, in the sales part. When there's less friction to say, why don't you try this? Think about header bidding, right? Header bidding made it really, really easy for you to try all these different demand sources. Yeah, just plug it in. I think that's what we're going with AI and the different ad tech components where it'll be, yeah, I'll try it. No big deal. Try it, click, sign, contract, good to go. And my AI will tell me if it did good or not. And if not, I'll move on. But I think that's where we're going. More solutions that are omni-focused that can do more where you have to do less, in my opinion. And I think the lacking part, just to add on to that, and where I think the gap is right now, is I think the gap is the understanding of AI and human intuition. And I think it's getting better every single day. Like when that becomes closer, then the generative AI part and making creative becomes super simple and super quick, right? Understanding targeting becomes super simple and super quick. But that human connection between AI and how humans think, because it moves so quickly, I think in the next few years we're going to see more of less thinking and the AI doing more thinking for us. So.
I agree with that 100%, especially with how some of the younger generation is adopting AI, where it takes the thought process out of whatever the task is that you're doing and it just does it for you. But Nola, you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I was just going to add that a little bit building on what you said, Kyle and Joe also. We work in programmatic. It's all about automation. But how much of what we do is manual or highly administrative with regards to needing people's hands on keyboards or troubleshooting deal IDs or right? Like, it's also hugely inefficient. So I think we are starting to see already companies, especially smaller startups, starting to build into orchestration platforms, really connecting. The MCP layers are huge here, right? Connecting with the APIs, but also just how do we automate a lot of this workflow that was otherwise done by humans and was prone to human error. And we're starting to see that happen on the buy side. We're definitely seeing that happen on the supply side. Really curious, Jay, your thoughts on that too. But this is going to be a huge area of efficiency for us, and as we connect the pipes closer between, the advertiser's dollar and the publisher's media, whatever channel that media is now versus may become, because that's also changing, right, with AI and how chatbots are becoming the new place where consumers are going, and how do we evolve into advertising in those spaces. This is all kind of very early days, so it's kind of exciting because we're all at the vanguard of it. But I do think that there's tons of space to continue to innovate. There's a lot of definitely legacy technologies and maybe misaligned incentives towards moving this, but I do think it's inevitable and it's going to happen really, really fast because it's already starting to. And as long as there's some trust and some stability established there, it's going to just go exponentially faster. And then, sorry, just one more point, because I love what you said with the email. Like, there are tools today that you can create your own custom GPT, feed it with some prompts, with some data, and some certain ways that, like, your voice, or this is how you write, or this is the type of thing that you want to pull together. And you can make your rote tasks that you do every day for your job or just in your day-to-day life just happen in the blink of an eye. And it's so efficient. It really is amazing what rewriting an email with a customized ChatGPT can do for the way that it sounds and getting your point across clearly. And I just think as this starts to become integrated into company policies, into tools that companies are using, that's just going to make the communication channels even more powerful from a sales and BD standpoint as well.
You set me up. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to say, and you helped it. From the supply side, I agree with everything. I think personalization and ensuring that there's also multiple revenue streams and be better around subscriptions or memberships is also really important, and a lever that AI is enabling. However, my actual point I want to make is from a supply side, it does feel fast for all of us, right? AI individually, we can do amazing things. There's a paradox that's going to unravel. It's like we're going to have more sites and more apps than ever, but a greater concentration in a number of sites and apps, because anyone can go and vibe code these new sites, but no one's actually going to go to them, right? So we're going to have this huge abundance of sites and apps, but people are going to congregate in a much, much smaller open web of a few players. And the other part I want to add to that is the tech is interesting, but publishers are not moving fast enough. We individually are moving faster, but publishers are small municipalities. Small budgets, they don't want to pay for things. There's a city council that has to approve, but once you're in for a while. If you say AI once, there's a committee that springs to action and says, oh, AI. Like, oh no, right? And I've been at one of the most prestigious publishers in the world, and if you accidentally wrote AI, there's a flag somewhere, right? Like, the moats that we all have, and it's not our ecosystem, it's all ecosystems, they're going away. The moats that will exist is speed and your brand. And publishers are not, supply side is not moving fast enough to meet it. This decline in audience, the decline in relevancy is outpacing the change that's required.
I think that's a really great point, and it's a great segue as well. I think so many people feel that if they don't adopt something, they're going to get left behind, and in some aspects that's true. But I feel like some people are grasping at straws just to use AI to say they're using AI, right? So what does a healthy or good adoption of AI actually look like, as opposed to just layering AI on top of an existing technology or task? While it's helpful, we can improve our emails, we could take away mundane tasks and do things a little bit differently and efficiently. What does a really good adoption of AI actually look like?
You have to take fear away. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to preempt you there.
You're good.
We did say programmatic, so. No, it's, there's a fear with AI, right? My grandmother can use ChatGPT right now. It's the most accessible, easily understood technology, but it's also the most advanced technology. None of us can build an LLM from scratch. Maybe there's someone in here, and if so, I want to invest in that person. But anyone can use it. But there's a fear. When management is saying, embrace AI, that means embrace AI so we can stop hiring at the speed that we are, or we're going to decline. To remove that fear, adoption will happen. I've seen it. I've talked to many publishers. That's one of the big things. It's like, yeah, an email, a really good email is great. Salesforce and Sales Agent Force is trying to create a solution for that. You need less salespeople then. You have RevOps AI solutions as well. You need less campaign managers. The lack of adoption is actually quite scary because we are not advancing fast enough, but it's more scary for the individuals knowing that they may have an enhancement tool, but it could also be a replacement tool. I don't believe in the replacement part, by the way.
I would say, I beg to differ, right? Society has been through many changes. If you were a horseshoer and Henry Ford came out with his car, you didn't have a job anymore, right? You were fearful of this technology that came out. If you were a candle maker and Edison and his light bulb, or Lewis Latimer and his light bulb came out, then you are out of a job, right? But we as humans find other things to do with our time. And I think successful implementation of AI is giving me more vacation, right? It's giving me more time to be me. It's giving me more time to get into my spirituality that AI will never be able to do, right? It doesn't have a soul, it doesn't have a spirit. So in my opinion, I think a good implementation, and maybe this is high level, but it's to allow me to have more time for myself and to produce the same quality of work that I was doing by focusing on that work. But everything we do is, in my opinion, is repetitive, right? It's just you spin it a different way. And it's about the other side that you're trying to reach. So if I can do that and set up a bunch of systems that can automate the process, and I can take time with my daughter to go have fun at the park, and I'm not sitting behind my desk writing emails, then that's a fucking good use of AI, in my opinion.
I agree 100%. I also think, and I'll let you speak in just a second, I think that also comes to, where are we looking for efficiency and where the critical thinking comes in too, because you could set up AI to do those repetitive tasks and then you could free up yourself and your mind, yes, to do those personal things, but there's things that we can't rely on AI to do for us as business leaders, as we're looking to grow, and we could utilize it for help, but I don't think it's really going to take the place of what we need to do to get from point A to point B.
I'm here for Joe's spiritual journey, by the way.
There you go. More vacations, everybody.
I also know why all your emails have so many M dashes in it now. Maybe just something I've learned in my own journey at PubMatic. I think for a while we tried to control it and have a really nice bow tie on a plan. So there was a task force, and everybody's ideas went into some spreadsheet, and there was some ranking system that made no sense. And we tried to allocate what we were going to focus on. And I'm not saying don't do those things, but 12 months ago, I think we sort of just said, get tools into people's hands as fast as you possibly can. And that does come with risk, and I think that is an advantage for smaller companies that can handle that risk profile. Like, is some lawyer going to quietly review a contract on ChatGPT in ways they shouldn't? Like, maybe, hopefully not, but maybe. That's okay at certain companies. That's not okay at maybe bigger companies. Take advantage of that. But we've found the amount of use cases that pop up by just forcing these tools into people's hands to be pretty tremendous. And the excitement within PubMatic is quite high. People will come in and they'll say, hey, I built this little thing that does X, Y, Z. And we're like, oh, that's amazing. Have you shared that with this other team? So that's probably been the biggest change that I've observed, along with just putting it into incentives a little bit. So like everybody on the team has to test something and share that with it, within a team meeting, et cetera. So maybe just mechanics to try to like reduce that fear and build it into the culture a little bit.
I would also add that I think, it's been a very exciting moment to kind of be threaded into a bit of the entrepreneurial world of ad tech and just more generally because of what we can do with AI and what an individual person and how far we can take something. So oftentimes at larger companies, even when they're leaning into tools, there are gaps or they're just not moving fast enough. And you might be able to have an idea and a way to try to solve and plug a gap with regards to solving a problem that you can then go and build yourself. And so the amount of innovation that I've been seeing, and it's really exciting. People that are leaving their corporate jobs to start AI companies in advertising and marketing and just more generally, just makes me believe that even though AI is going to replace a lot of the administrative function and rote tasks that people were doing, and hopefully leaving more time for strategic critical thinking that we need our brains for, hopefully well-rested brains for. It's because we're going to usher in a whole new generation of innovative companies. And it's kind of what I mean, there's the whole American dream concept of it all, but quite frankly, it democratizes everyone's ability to create their own destiny and create something of value in a way that I don't think existed before. And that's really exciting. And that can be done at a small level within a company, and it can be done by taking it out and bringing it to the world.
And I would just add to that, even bringing people into this space, right? Like for years, it's been one of the hardest industries to get into. It's more about who you know, and then you figure out what you know. But AI is giving people the tools to understand what CTV means. You walk on the street and say, hey, did you see that new CTV? What is CTV? Smart TV? Yeah, I get that. But it'll help with that as well, like letting other people in and understand what we're doing so we get smarter people into the space to help solve some of these more difficult problems.
Definitely. And do you guys feel that AI is going to bring communities together or really push them apart?
I would say both. I would say both because AI can be isolating. And I say isolating because you can get drawn in, right? Because you start down the spiral. It's kind of like social media in a way. You get in, you start asking questions, and you go deeper and deeper, and then they're just asking you questions, and you're going back and forth. Now it's your friend. So I think that it can drive you away from human interaction. As you can see, it's driving people sometimes to commit suicide, which is insane. But I also think that it breaks down barriers too, because you can get an understanding that you might not have gotten before, or you have a biased opinion on your understanding because of where you're getting that information from. So I think that it can bring people together, but it can also make people more isolated.
I mean, I think that I agree, right? It of course can do both. I think there's also just a level of granularity and personalization that can be brought to bear with AI that would have been impossible to do manually or even with the kind of automation ML tools that we had before. There is levels of nuance in people's identities and how they perceive themselves, the communities that they're a part of that are maybe not necessarily geographically close to them, but are part of like how they tether to the world. And being able to reach people in the right ways that really resonates for that is something that takes so much data to be able to understand and find those exact tethers in the exact right moments to show up in the right way. I mean, we talk about this all the time, but there is a level of just like deep data that can be leveraged in advertising or in other types of personalized, marketing strategies and such that will make people feel seen and heard and understood in a way that maybe we didn't quite hit the mark on before. So it's a little bit maybe idealistic, but I do think we're very close to being able to bring a level of personalization within even just like advertising and programmatic that is going to actually make people feel closer together.
That's great. We are at time, guys. I can't believe how quick that went. I know. I would like to thank everybody for being here. I do have a quick little raffle. So has anyone learned something new today or have something that they learned that they would like to share? Really?
Come on,
Otherwise,
anything
we're
on AI. Nothing? This was waste of your time. You're here for a drink, so.
All right, fair enough.
There we go.
Oh, I got one. I think it's really interesting how you kind of tie in that AI will actually like benefit your mental health and benefit the way that you approach business because as a Gen Zer, I feel like AI has been used for pretty mundane and basic uses, especially in college. So it's very interesting that professionals like you like making notes for Gen Z and like those kind of things that it can actually help you do what you are passionate about instead of making it just like, what do I eat for breakfast?
Yeah,
100%.
That's good to know.
Thank you.
Well,
appreciate that.
we have a prize for you. Thank you for participating. And I'd like to thank all of our sponsors. So, Adte, thank you very much for sponsoring Drift Pixel, Advanced Women, Swarm, Mock the Toast, and obviously the restaurant here. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you to our panelists. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
And also, just a side note, AI doesn't fire people. People that use AI fire people, by the way.